Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to a Saturday edition of Mo Better Trading. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Mo Better, and today, guys, we're just gonna go ahead and jump straight into these charts. I'm not gonna give y'all too much hoopla. Man, look, we talked about on Monday. If you didn't see my last video, the last video I released was on Monday. We had just closed this candle here on Bitcoin. We had just closed this Monday candle on Bitcoin, and I talked about how we had broken structure here on lower time frame. We had broken the downtrend, or on higher time frame, excuse me. We had broken officially the downtrend structure, and that we needed to close the daily candle above this area in order to have confidence that we were going to be able to make it into the $118,000 to $120,000 region. Now, obviously, I said in that video that I thought there was a chance that we would get all the way back up towards all-time highs, but that I really thought that we were going to fall short initially on the initial pump up, on the initial run up, that we would get into the 100 maybe 1920K region before we saw a pullback. But nevertheless, we got a massive move throughout the week, right? So Tuesday was a pullback day, which again, I had talked about that as well, that if you had missed these 2 days on Sunday and Monday, obviously Sunday was an easy day to miss because it's a non-trading day for me personally on a weekend. I had talked about how, we still might need a small pullback in order to retest the area of breakout, but that I wanted to see it be a shallow pullback, that we create a shallow wick, and that we continue marching up and we take out the highs. I thought that we'd run into some trouble here around 118,000, 119,000 as we got into this really this void here. But I talked about how once we closed this candle bullish, that all it was going to take was for us to break above that candle's high, and then we should be good to get up out of here. And I mean, look at the move, bro. This move was fucking insane. As soon as we broke through resistance, we had a 9% move, nearly a 9% move on Bitcoin, and obviously altcoins went with it. But again, this is not for clout, though I can collect some clout. This is not for like an I told you so, but this is more so of a way of teaching you guys how to look at these charts, how to read these charts, right? Now, I did not catch the move on Bitcoin, though I did have it planned out because I was focused on altcoins, on Ethereum and on Solana, pretty much on those two as far as trading was concerned. Because I figured if Bitcoin was going to move, altcoins were going to move much larger and much faster. That's how I saw it, right? Bitcoin is the leader, altcoins follow, a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. And I thought that, though I thought Bitcoin's move was going to be strong, and it turned out to be stronger actually than the altcoins that I was in, I thought altcoins would move a little bit more. So I was focused on Ethereum and Solana, which I did end up catching those trades, and we'll talk about those. But here on Bitcoin, man, just an excellent representation, excellent visualization of what exactly we were looking for. We got the bearish day, and I told y'all, if we were to finish one of these days, the best way to be able to get into a move is if we finished one of these days bearish, and then we were able with the following day. And I think I actually talked about how I would prefer to see Tuesday be a bearish day, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we can break above bearish resistance and continue moving up. And that's exactly what we did. We got a bearish close on Tuesday, and again, another week close, another week daily close, right? This candle finished in the upper 75% of the candle with a huge wick to the bottom. So I talked about how all we would need is an impulse entry above resistance, and we would be able to clear these next resistance areas, which at the time for me, I had this area marked out as a real level of concern. And I thought maybe we would come up above and wick 119,300 or so before we kind of started to stall out. But obviously you can see we beelined up towards 124K almost. We got to 123,894. Okay, so nearly touched all-time highs. Now we have closed back below this area of resistance, so we don't have a candle that has closed above resistance. And y'all know what that means, especially for me. If we have a candle that cannot close above resistance, the next candle, if we finish Saturday and Sunday bearish, then Monday you can expect that we're going to continue moving down. The only way that we can get another move up at this point is if we can get a candle to close above $123,300 or so, right? But that's for we'll talk about that in Sunday's video. We'll see how the weekend kind of shapes up. I really think that we probably just kind of stall out here and pull back down a little bit, and before we can even think about getting a move up. But we'll have to see how the structure is looking at that point come Sunday evening and into Monday morning, right? So, man, this move played out as perfectly and as well as could have been planned and expected. And so now this move is done, right? This move here is completed. We have nothing else to do right now. We cleared out this clean candle range. We cleared out all the liquidity here, and here, right? And so now we're just at a state of waiting. Okay, we're just at a state of waiting. There's no saying what is going to happen, whether we're going to pop through, whether we're going to pull back pretty hard, whether this is the top. Who knows, right? Who knows at this point? There's no saying. But I will say that on a higher time frame, I mean, this shit just looks absolutely incredible, right? If you were looking at this candle here, now we have a day, so we have about 30 hours until this candle closes. But if this candle were to even close right here, what could you expect? What would I be looking for, right? If this were on a 30-minute time frame or a 15-minute time frame or an hourly time frame or a 5-minute time frame, doesn't matter how low or how high you go, this candle is a complete engulfing of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nearly 7 weeks of price action. That is not insignificant, right? That is not insignificant by any means. Now, if this candle can close up here, we can expect that the next week we can get a pullback. How deep that pullback goes, we don't know, right? But we can get a pullback, a wick created. And then if we can break this candle's high, this current candle's high, after it creates a wick down, then we have a chance to move up and we can get into expansion. Okay? How high that expansion goes, who knows? Is this the end of the Bitcoin bull run? Are we here at the top and we're gonna get one more push above to kind of sweep some of this liquidity, right? To kind of sweep this liquidity here, sweep this liquidity here. Are we gonna get this move up and then just come crashing back down? It's possible. This structure right here, if we were to create something like this, right, and then the next candle is bearish, right? Maybe we do something like this, right? So this is bullish candle. Maybe then the next weekly candle or whatever finishes bearish like this, and then we can wick up, move down, boom. That creates your weekly structure break, whatever the case. We don't know right now, but it's very possible that it could look something like this. But as it stands right now, Bitcoin is looking really fucking strong. Really fucking strong, right? I am not fading a momentum candle like this. Okay, because that's essentially what this will turn into should we finish this week off, in this upper part of this candle, right? Now, if we sell all the way off and we finish and we close back below where these candles are closed right now, right? So let me just move this. If we were to for some reason close this weekly candle below 120K, then I would have a lot more caution and a lot less belief that we're going to go higher. But if this candle finishes where it is right now and the next week we can break above $123,894, we're in full-on price discovery. And who knows how far that can lead us. Who knows how high that can go. Can it go 140? Can it go 150? Possibly. I'm still in the camp that between 130 and 140 is where we top out at. I could be wrong. We could very well have topped already, but with the way the candle is shaping up right now, I just don't see how that is a likely scenario for me, right? Couple that with the fact that the Russell made new all-time highs, though it is closing back below right now. If the Russell were to close back below 2450 or so, Or if, well, it's already closed, I guess, but if we were to get a candle that closes below 2450, say it's a bearish candle and it closes back below this area, then I would say like, okay, the Russell's kind of stalling out. NASDAQ has pushed new all-time highs, but hasn't really been able to get an expansion candle per se. Then I would assume that maybe Bitcoin is on shaky legs. But until those things happen and until Bitcoin really starts to show any sign of weakness, I don't see how you can fade this candle, right? This is a great, excellent week for Bitcoin. This is an excellent week for Bitcoin. It was an excellent week for crypto overall. Obviously, we had coins like Zcash going up 170%. There were others that got a nice little pop out of it. I believe like Litecoin and Chainlink got some nice pops out as well. But this was as good as we could have hoped. Now, we are at the top of the range, right? We're at the top of the range. And this is a range until it is not. That is one thing that you cannot overlook as you are forming your bias, right? And I'll say this for myself as well. Until or unless we get a candle to close above 123,470, this is the top of the range. This is the limit. This is the upper limit. We are in the upper limit of this range. We are in the upper limit of this range. And every time we've tested it, we've rejected back hard, right? Got up here, rejected back hard. Got up here, rejected back hard. Now, are we going to get up here and reject back hard again? Who's to say? If we just get a shallow little pullback and we are able to keep some of these highs intact, or some of these lows intact, excuse me, then we can start marching back up. And if we can get up above here, retest, I think we get the fuck out of here. I think we can get some escape velocity. But with the way that weekly candle is shaping up, I just don't see how we stall out here. I don't see how we stall out here, you know. And that could change over the coming days as, you know, we get some more price action development. But as it stands right now, this is looking really good to go higher. This is really looking good to go higher. Keep in mind, right, that this was a very quick move up, okay? Now, like with anything, we don't like fast moves up, right? I don't like fast moves up necessarily. I think that fast moves up can be a problem because they tend to get retraced. But as long as we can kind of hold up here and base out a little bit, maybe it takes some time. If we can build something up around here and hold in this upper range, I think that we're going to get up out of here. Okay, so again, I tracked this move. I called this move out for y'all. I told y'all exactly what we were looking for as we broke these levels down here. And we got exactly the move, and even greater of a move than I was anticipating. So good for crypto, good for Bitcoin. Finally, crypto has felt like crypto. You know, we've seen stocks and equities. We've seen gold. We've seen silver making new all-time highs. We've seen gold just rampaging. For the first time in what feels like months, we've seen crypto just fucking blast off. And it was really a really great thing to see. Okay, so again, as it stands right now, there's nothing to do. Please don't be trading right now. Please don't be in any trades. There's no reason to be in any trades. There's nothing to do here on the higher time frame charts. You're setting yourself up for failure trading on the weekend and trading, expecting a breakout as we are approaching a really major area of resistance, right? So again, until we get some confirmation, which for me, a confirmation is just a break above the high that we just created on the weekly. If we can get a break above the weekly high, we can definitely get up out of here. Now, on lower time frames, if we start to pull back a little bit and we start forming some type of support in these lower areas, I will be looking for support to build to be able to retest these highs and potentially break out higher. Okay, so that could look, again, it could look something like this where we get a pullback. Maybe it's a little bit deeper to kind of fill in this area here. You know, take out this liquidity, and then we can get a V recovery up out here and boom, right? That would be ideal. Or maybe it's a little bit shallower and we just keep these lows intact and we just kind of go here instead, right? Either way, that's what I would be looking for. Now, the only way that I would be looking to get bearish again, or be looking for shorts, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would be bearish, but the only way that I would be looking for shorts is if we were to create this rejection candle, and then we were to be able to, if we form some sort of support, okay, so say this one finishes, let's just imagine that the candle closes right where it is. If we were to get, a wick down, it can break this low, that's fine, because this is a bearish candle low right now. What is important is that we don't break bullish lows. But if we were to get a wick down like this, right, and then the next candle were to finish bullish, say it finishes kind of like a weak bullish candle, something like this, right, that is still closing underneath of this resistance, and then the following candle wicks up, respects this high, and then creates, for example's sake, I'm not gonna create the wick, but say we got a bearish candle instead, and that bearish candle looks something like this, okay, and then we close below this area of support, right? Maybe it even finishes a little bit stronger. Say it just finishes like this. Okay, now we have created an area of resistance followed by a support candle, and then we broke in support. Then I would say, okay, at this point, you put your stop, or you put your entry below this candle's low, you put your stop above this candle's high, and now we have an area to target, which would be back towards 114,000 initially, and potentially all the way back towards range lows at 107,000. Okay, that would be the only way for me to get short. This would be the only way for me to get short, is if we had a bullish candle create support, and then the next candle closes strongly bearish below this support, and we were able to get the following candle to break the bearish support's low, or the bearish candle's low, and respect the high, then I would expect that we're going to come short. Okay? Otherwise, if we were to get a candle that developed like, say even it did develop like this, right? And I'll extend this wick just a little bit so y'all can kind of get a better idea of what I would be anticipating, right? Say the candle finished something like this and we close below resistance, that's okay. I would still be looking for the following candle to wick down, even if it wicked all the way down, I don't give a fuck. As long as it respects this low and doesn't break this low, right? As long as this low stays intact. And then we trade back up, break this candle's high, right? So it looks something like this. We'd be trading lower, okay? And the candle would look like this at some point, right? But then we instead trade back higher, boom, flip bearish candle to bullish, okay? And then we're able to break through this high. I'm entered. I'm in automatically without question, expecting an expansion candle. Okay? That would be my game plan. That would be my game plan. Those are the two scenarios that I'm really looking for right now. Okay? Otherwise, the only other thing that I would be waiting for is if we were to get a little bit deeper pullback on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we sweep some lows, build some support, and then come up higher. Okay? So that in a nutshell, those are the basically the two scenarios that I'm looking for to either trigger me short or to trigger me long. Okay? I would prefer that we got a little bit of a pullback because I want to be able to get in as low of a price as possible. I would want to see a little bit of a pullback followed by some support being created and then a move up. But if we still just consolidate around these highs, that's fine because that gives me more confidence that we're going to bust up out of there, right? Cool. So I hope that if you watch the video, that you really learn something, go back, watch it again, understand why I was looking for these moves, understand what candle structures were being developed, and understand why this move happened, right? That way, if you ever see this setting up again, you can take action on it, right? You don't want to miss these moves when they're obvious plays. We had a momentum candle driving into support that completely stalled out. Then we had a tower consolidation. So we had a tower bottom created and we closed above resistance. Boom. That's your automatic sign to get in. That's your automatic sign to get in. If you lose a trade, you lose a trade. Oh well. But you cannot be hesitant to pull the trigger on these setups when they happen, because these are A+ setups. Okay? And we got an A+ move out of it. So definitely super happy with that move. And hopefully we continue this momentum over the coming weeks, right? Cool. So cool. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum. Ethereum, again, I mean, look, we literally still have it marked out exactly where I entered this trade. I entered this trade at 42.50. Let's see. I entered the trade here at the high, at the break of this high. So literally at 42.45, probably 42 like 47. I have to go back and look exactly, but as we broke this high, I was in on the trade. I was in automatically. We created resistance. First off, we broke structure down here, right? So we had created resistance. Now this was a Sunday candle, so I told y'all again on Monday, I told y'all I was not going to be getting in yet. I wanted to see a bearish candle develop and then break that bearish candle's high to get in, and that I thought 4,500 would come pretty quickly. And sure enough, we traded all the way up almost into 4,600. This was my target area because this was the area where I said I thought we would be seeing some resistance. This was the breakdown area. I trimmed about 60, it was like 60, 65% as we came to test this underside here. And then I closed the rest as we breached 4,500, right? So I believe I closed 60% at like 44.25, something like that. Okay. But I caught a bulk of this move on Ethereum. I caught the meat of this move from here to 44.25. I caught about almost a 4.5% move. So that was a really great move on Ethereum, and super happy with the way that turned out. Now Ethereum is in a little bit trickier place than Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin is all the way up at its resistance levels, up at its upper limit, okay? Bitcoin is all the way up here. Obviously, Ethereum is still trading about 8% below the previous all-time high that it just created. Okay, and we're running into an area of obvious resistance here. All right, this has kept the downtrend intact. And technically speaking, on the lower or on the higher time frame, this is creating a lower high. We created a lower low. We're creating a lower high. Now, it's tough to say whether we're going to get this to move back down here and continue pulling down. You know, it's not like I haven't seen this pattern before. This pattern comes up all the time. But as it stands right now with Bitcoin's strength, and again, with the Russell breaking out, it hasn't broken out, but you know, it put in a new high. I think that if we can, again, just like Bitcoin, we get a shallow pullback, and as long as we hold this level here, be looking for some support to develop in this area. Obviously, we got a low, we got a higher low, we got a higher high, we got a higher low here. Okay, so I want to see us put in another higher low. So we need to keep 41.38 or so intact. Hopefully we can start to develop some support around here and move our way back up. Right? It's not as clear cut as Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has a lot more clear invalidations. But as long as Bitcoin is strong and as long as the Russell is strong, I think that altcoins are going to continue moving higher. Do they move higher and with as much velocity as Bitcoin? I don't know, right? I think that even though this was a good move, it wasn't nearly as good as Bitcoin's. And that could be just because Bitcoin is being focused on right now and we still need to rotate out of Bitcoin and into alts. It's very possible. But I will say that Ethereum looks a little bit more shaky. I think Solana even looks a little bit more shaky. I think XRP still looks pretty shaky. So yeah, we still got a lot of work to do as far as altcoins are concerned, right? And you see right now we're getting some pretty heavy rejections as the weekend is upon us. Okay, not so with Bitcoin. Look at how much higher Bitcoin is compared to everything else, right? So, you know, if we can get Ethereum to break above 45.21 and close, I would say it needs to close, in my opinion, we got to close really above this 4,600 area here. If we can close above 4,600, I think that we can run up to all-time highs pretty quickly. We did get the break above this weekly high. Now, we just don't want to close, in my opinion, back below it. Like, I don't think we want to close, you know, in the 4,400 area. Closing back below it would not be ideal, in my opinion. On a higher time frame, yeah, I would prefer that we closed a little bit higher. At least in the 4470s, 4480s would be ideal. But we did break above the previous weekly high, which means that this area of resistance was not as strong as the bullish buying power was, right? As bulls were, I should say. But the resistance at 4,600 has proven to be strong. So we need to break above this high here at 4,600 in order to fill the gap towards 4,850 and potentially break out, you know, higher than that. As it stands right now, this is really just an area of consolidation, right? We're just kind of consolidating right here. Price is not broken higher or lower, so we're still just within the range. And we need a bullish candle to wick down, just like anything else. I'll do this 1,000 times. I don't care, because this is literally the easiest way to visualize this. We need a wick down on the next weekly candle or daily candle or 4-hour candle or whatever candle you're trading. We need a wick down that does not breach this low at 41.20 and then break above the candle's high that it creates and then break above this previous daily high. If we break above, or weekly high, if we break above this previous weekly high, we have full, in my opinion, confidence and confluence to continue higher. Okay. And then if we can close above 48.55, the alt show is on. Okay. But until we can do that, it's kind of, we're in a murky spot, right? We're in a little bit of a murky spot. So it's best to just monitor altcoins for right now. It's best to just monitor them. If you didn't get in on this trade, I think the safe trade would be above 4,600. That would be the safe trade to take up to the highs at least, and potentially higher for ETH. Okay, so if we go on to the daily time frame, you know, again, just like Bitcoin, we can create bearish patterns and we can create, you know, some bearish candles, but we need support to develop and break us above our previous area of resistance in order to continue higher. If we were to just continue selling off, say this candle finishes bearish, the next candle finishes bearish, and then Monday we open and break these lows and break this daily low, then I would imagine that we're probably coming at least back into the 4,200 area. Okay. So yeah. But nonetheless, this is a really good move that we caught here on ETH. I'm definitely happy with it. I have no complaints. I thought the analysis was really good. Played out exactly as I expected. We got the move exactly into where I expected and even a little bit higher. So you can't be upset with that. Okay. Cool. So now we move on to Solano. I know it's not Solano. Chill out. Don't fucking flame me. But again, Solana, same exact move that we got on ETH. We had Tuesday finish a bearish candle and it finished weak. It was unable to, even though it breached Monday's low, it closed in the upper 50% of this candle. So again, in that video, I said, if we break above the bearish candle's high, we can run. And I thought $240 was going to come swiftly. You know, the same idea, the same structure that we had on ETH, I had on Solana. It just didn't play out. It didn't move quite as aggressively as ETH did. Definitely didn't move as aggressively as Bitcoin did. But nonetheless, we retested this underside breakdown at 235. Um, and so I caught the breakout here again from 214. I took it up to about 227. Got stopped out as I trailed. And it ended up moving all the way into the 236, 237 area. But, I'm not upset about that. I trailed my stop. It came and took me out. It is what it is. On lower time frames, I had it trailed. So it was on the 4 hour. We got in super early. I think we got in, yeah, because this happened overnight. So I actually got in here as we broke above this candle's high, and I had my stop loss a little bit below at about 215 or 216, excuse me. And I just trailed as we were moving up. And I believe I got stopped out. It was 227. I got stopped out somewhere in here. And we continued to move up higher, but that is just the name of the game. It is what it is. So I didn't catch the full move, but I got a good chunk of it. And again, not upset with how that turned out at all. Okay, so now on Ethereum, on Solana, what can we be expecting? Well, we have created resistance here on the daily time frame. Friday was not able to sustain a move higher. Saturday is obviously selling off. So now what we want to see is some support be created on tomorrow's candle. So hopefully tomorrow's candle can look something like this, where we wick down, right? Let me move this over a little bit. Where we wick down, but we respect this low, and then we can trade back up, and hopefully we can finish this next candle closer to the $234 region. That would be ideal for a bullish candle, right? And then Monday, if we can wick down, again, respect this low, and then break above this high, we have room to continue moving up towards $250. Okay, is it going to look exactly like this? Probably not, but I would prefer that it looks something like this. Okay, so yeah, we had a really, really, really great week in crypto this week. All of the moves played out to a T, exactly how I was expecting them to, exactly how I wanted them to. Again, even on this, we talked about how we had a clean candle range all the way up towards $240, which was about a 13% move. And we got exactly what we wanted, and we captured a large majority of that move. So, you're not going to get 100% of every move, but as long as you pick up a good majority or a good chunk of those moves, you're going to be sitting just fine. And so right now, it's just a waiting game. Right now, we just play the waiting game. We see how far back we're going to pull back. Maybe we retest the breakout level at $214. It's possible. I prefer that we don't pull back that low. I prefer a more shallow wick to be created for the new weekly candle, which will develop on Sunday. And we'll see how that's looking. I don't really think I need to go over XRP. We saw what XRP was looking like, kind of shitty. Again, we got to move above XRP. I even talked about how I thought XRP was a little bit more questionable of a move or of a trade, just because of all of the resistance that we had. And we ran straight into resistance. I talked about how we needed to close above 312 if we were going to hope to get above, into the 320s or so. And we didn't. We stalled out. Now we're rejecting pretty harshly. So we'll just have to keep an eye on XRP. I would say it is a bit concerning considering how aggressively Bitcoin moved up, that XRP has been unable to really move up any higher. Okay. It's a little bit concerning, right? We need 273 to hold on XRP, or there's nothing but air below. But considering the fact that everything has moved up pretty significantly and this is kind of stalling out, gives me some room for pause. Okay, gives me some room for pause here. Just to, we're still within this range, obviously. And we need to break out above 312 if we have any hopes of continuing to move higher and potentially getting back up into range highs. We obviously have a tough battle ahead at 330. But first off, we got to clear 312. Okay, so until that happens, I think XRP is just kind of something you just watch. You don't really do anything with. You just kind of watch it right now. All right. But yeah. All right, cool. That's going to do it for me. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I hope y'all are enjoying your Saturday. I hope you enjoy a football-filled Saturday. There's going to be a ton of great games on. Kick your feet back. Get off the charts. Crypto's not going anywhere on the weekend. And if it does, it's probably not a good thing. So get your eyes off the screen. Get your eyes off the charts. Give your brain a break. Give the stress level on your brain a break. Come back to the charts on Sunday, as I will be doing Sunday night. Make a plan, trade the plan. All right, that's what we do. Okay, so if you're still watching at this point in the video, first off, I appreciate you. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope that you are learning something along the way. With that being said, please drop me a sub, drop me a follow. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help the channel out. Smack a thumbs up on the video so that way we can get the video spread out to the rest of the YouTube world, or TikTok, or wherever else is going to be on all platforms, on X, whatever. And just make sure you're got the notifications turned on so you're staying up to date, and so that you're notified every time that we have a video coming out for y'all, so y'all don't miss anything. Yeah, until the next one, I appreciate you guys, and y'all have a wonderful weekend. Peace.